what CLIPr does, like we very much use machine learning and AI, but the practical purpose is to help you define the most important moments in a fraction of the time. And so the way we do that is we make every second of that video searchable. We also make it skimmable through our automated table of contents comprised of topics and subtopics. And then soon with GPT support, we'll also make your video queryable.
Hey, Ansel Lee here. Hey, welcome to another edition of Ansel Lee Live. And hey, just want to also recognize my he's over here, my co-host over here, Jeff Beecher.
Hello, everyone. Yep.
Yeah. And our special guest today is Humphrey Chen. Humphrey, good to have you on today.
Thanks.
Hey, Humphrey.
Thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, like I said, it's pretty cool to get a rock star on here. So I'm excited about this conversation. And hey, just right out of the chute, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Humphrey Chen, co-founder and CEO of CLIPr. My most recent major job was as the head of computer vision at AWS. And so it was my job to help developers to see and hear at scale. And when COVID hit, we're like, well, why don't we help everybody to see and hear at scale? And so we created CLIPr.
Awesome. Well, and so a little bit of your background. You're a Harvard grad and an MIT grad. Is that correct?
Yep. You're embarrassing me.
No, I want folks to know who you are, where you come, how you come at this.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I've always viewed myself as a practical technologist. And so, for what CLIPr does, like we very much use machine learning and AI, but, the practical purpose is to help you define the most important moments in a fraction of the time. And so the way we do that is we make every second of that video searchable. We also make it skimmable through our automated table of contents comprised of topics and subtopics. And then soon with GPT support, we'll also make your video queryable. So you can ask for what you need and we'll also give you the answer. And so we're all about providing enterprise video intelligence. And so we're solving for two major problems. One is unlocking video insights, as well as eliminating video overload. And these are really kind of two new areas that have become very relevant in this post-pandemic era. And
right.
There's so much more video, and yet the tools to consume that video haven't really caught up until something like CLIPr.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned being a practical technologist. Where do you see the practicality of your invention, and when did you really put the AI piece to it? Was that something that you had thought about pre-pandemic, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things where we always have that situation where you get a video and you're just trying to find something, and that something might only be 5% of the video. Mm-hmm. But if you have to painfully trudge through the other 95%, it's like it's not there because it's just not worth the effort. Yeah. And so our goal is to, let you find that as quickly as possible. And then if there's another 5% that you didn't know you need to know, we want to give you the tools to find that other 5%. So mm-hmm. If you get 10% utility, we actually view that as mission accomplished because it's 10 more than the average of 0. Plus it also means that you didn't have to painfully wade through the other 90%. So really CLIPr was born back in May of 2020 when my co-founder, Cindy, highlighted, hey, I'm working down her video backlog. And I was like, well, what do you mean your video backlog? And she's like, well, I missed this Zoom meeting. I missed this conference. I missed this earnings call. And so it was part of her workflow to go through multiple hours of content. And so that led to the light bulb moment around I actually know how to solve for this. And so at that point, I could use an API like Amazon Transcribe and have it transcribe and do the speech to text. And then at that point, the whole idea of making it searchable was born. And then at that point, as we got more and more feedback from customers, we realized, okay, well, make it searchable, make it skimmable, make it bookmarkable, make it shareable, make it queryable. All those like extra abilities kept emerging over time with feedback. And so, one simple feature turned into more and more. And then you can imagine the need to make that as simple and as easy to use as possible. And then, we support Zoom, we support Google Drive, we support Microsoft Teams. And so the need to be cross-platform all kind of came into play. And at that time, we were thinking through, well, there's so many possibilities here. Like this, are we going to serve students? Are we going to serve events? Are we going to serve enterprises? And so, in the pre-seed time period, it's like, hey, let's just experiment as fast as possible and figure out, which ones fit. So we did a pilot in computer science department for Harvard College. And we quickly learned, well, you know what? Parents don't actually value saving time for kids, and nor do teachers. And so we're like, okay, let's scratch that. And then in the event side, we actually realized, wow, the whole world went from in-person to fully remote. And so we're like, wow, like the signals felt really, really loud. But then what we discovered was, well, now the world shifted back to hybrid, and then it shifted back to in-person. And so those really loud signals of CLIPring high value one-to-many event content ended up subsiding and turned into a bit of a red herring. And so we did spend time on that. But then on the enterprise side, we did quick pilots, and we discovered, hey, companies are actually willing to sign in. As we signed an NDA, they had no problem sharing information with us. And so that actually ended up being faster than we actually expected. And then we were fortunate enough to, in our seed round, to get $4 million from a company by the name of Poly, the maker of the Polycom speakerphone, which became a wholly owned subsidiary of Hewlett Packard. And so suddenly, one of the things that had actually gave us a little reservation about going into the enterprise too quickly is, we didn't have a sales force, we didn't have a sales channel, and these are like long sales cycles. And so for us, having a partner like Poly meant that we would have access to like 100% of the global 2000, because everyone has a Polycom speakerphone in their conference room. And so that turned into like a really important strategic partner, especially if they can bundle us into what they're selling. And then, because CLIPr is one of those things that you didn't know you needed until you knew that it was possible and that it exists. And so the cost of education, evangelism, and trial was actually the biggest part of the cost. But if you're already in the enterprise account, it's a lot easier to upsell it than it is to like go in cold.
Well, that's interesting. Could I ask one more question about the different markets? While you're speaking, I was thinking about security cameras. Is that something that you've looked at or thought about? Seems to be a lot of video there, and if something nefarious is going on, it seems like you could get to it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I think the one catch there is that one of the key essences to CLIPr is that we use audio to inform when we choose to see. So we don't actually try to see every single second, every single minute. And so in the case of security footage, 99% of it is uninteresting. But to the extent that there's a sound associated with it, then we could act on that, right? And so I wouldn't view like security footage as being kind of like a high value area for us. And so, and by the way, the backstory on this is, a while ago in my, former Amazon capacity, FIFA had asked me, hey, can you make a highlight reel for our soccer games, for English football games? And so I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. And so, their games typically end up being 90 minutes on average, at least 90 minutes. And so they said, look for field goal, look for red card, look for yellow card. And I'm like, okay, great. So they gave me the 90-minute footage, and I told my engineers, get me the top 10% loud crowd cheer moments, and then we're going to use computer vision on just 9 minutes. And I can ignore the other 81 minutes because the ball is just being kicked around. And right. The really loud crowd cheer means that something major happened. And so at that point, we could just analyze those 9 minutes. So that allows us to be so much more cost effective.
That's great.
And so that's actually how that fed into CLIPr. So for CLIPr, right now, when you think about it, when you record a video, 0 moments are automatically identified. Our goal right now is to identify 50% of those moments in the form of topics and subtopics. And so from there on in, the stage is then set for us to identify other types of moments. Maybe it's an aha moment. Maybe it's a field goal moment. Maybe it's a nailed moment. Maybe it's a customer of expression of intent to purchase moment. Each of those are actually very specific moment types that are only, you can only create a machine learning model if you have the data and you have the data tagged. And then if you have a paying customer on the other side who wants that moment, then you suddenly have a useful feature, because the last thing you want to do is have a whole bunch of machine learning models looking for things that nobody actually cares for or is willing to pay for. And so for us, starting off horizontally in the category of topics and subtopics through the automated table of contents is like a nice general use case. And so for CLIPr right now, we're getting traction in enterprise training departments for and leadership and development, onboarding. We're also getting traction in marketing departments where there's a ton of B-roll video that needs to get elevated and upgraded into A-roll. And then we're also getting traction in sales departments. And in sales departments, high value calls are being recorded. And if there's any ambiguity around the technical detail, people can jump to that CLIPr moment very quickly. And the leader of the sales department can also see how well in each of the individual salespeople are doing or not doing. And then similarly, engineering can actually use those sales recordings as a way to hear and see the voice of the customer and add to the roadmap.
That's so cool. And so I don't want to dominate this, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
This is so fascinating, and you just really just piqued my interest when you started talking about English Premier League football. So I'm a huge fan, to say the least.
Kind of reminded me of the red zone, that we have here.
Well, kind of. But you're right. I was thinking, well, just tell me, I know that, is this your first accelerator? Is Fuel the first one that you've done?
It is actually. And I have to say that it's been an awesome program. And I think one of the reasons that I prioritized joining it is that, when we all switched into like a remote first, video first world, the first half of this year, I was, operating very efficiently remotely. And I found that I could get the first meetings very quickly, but then, things were just taking too long. And so it's like, it's the old rule, out of sight, out of mind. And so when we got accepted into the Fuel Accelerator program, based here in Bentonville, Arkansas, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to have to invest in building relationships and good old, I had to change the way that I was going to operate for the second half of the year, because it was not sustainable to be a hunter and then not being able to like close. And for me, like a lot of our traction is happening, in the New York, Wall Street area, but also in the high tech sectors. And, I'm like, I need to have an anchor tenant here in the heartland.
Right. Wow. So you've gotten some great benefit out of out of Fuel and this cohort, and
I've got 10 new lifelong buddies. The whole team has just been very gracious, very helpful, and you don't normally find that. And so for me, it's kind of like, having grown up in the New York area, New Yorkers and Bentonville, pretty different. It's kind of night and day. Not a slam against the New Yorkers, but in Bentonville, like, you've got people that are genuinely wanting to help and connect. And business is actually about relationships and working with people that you want to work with. And so there is the get stuff done part, but it's it's also more than that, right? And so I think the experience here is a reminder of how important that is, and having this kind of community is really value added, and it is something that we want to have a presence here as well. And so our goal is to get some extra business here and have a nice presence here as well.
Yeah, you're one of many that have come through on our program from Fuel, and everybody says the same thing. They're just blown away at the camaraderie and the leadership. And here you are, an MIT, Harvard grad, and you're coming away from this program with a whole new sort of education, and it's fascinating. It's great.
Yeah, on my Facebook feed, I feel like I've just joined the PR team for Bentonville, helping out on the social media front. But it's great. And then doing the mountain bike trails, and
yeah,
I feel like my first experience was on one of the e-bikes, and I was like, wait, this is too easy. One of my colleagues, Dexter, was saying like, this is a real workout. I'm like, no, this isn't the real workout. Have the E in the bike and have that feel like a real workout, because he was talking about doing 10, 20, 30 miles. And I was like, I don't think the Apple Watch knows that you had the E in there, because it's like a big power booster.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Matter of fact, I work with a guy named Terry Coddington who is over and works a lot and helps develop the mountain bike programs with the Walton Foundation up in Bentonville. And he brought an e-bike over to my house, and I ride a road bike. And I was like, he said, just hang on when you start pedaling. And those e-bikes are amazing. And it makes you look like a champ.
I didn't realize that these like specialized ones can be like $14,000 now.
Oh, I'm telling you, I know.
It's like I haven't bought a bike in a while, but like you blink and then suddenly the price has gone through the roof.
That's the cool thing about the Ledger building, that you've actually got a specialized bike shop in the bottom floor, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I all this complimentary advertising.
Well, hey, let's real quick, because we're at time here, but tell us the best way to get in touch with you to find out more.
My email is h@clipr.ai. And then of course you can connect through LinkedIn, and I encourage you to create a free account at CLIPr and ingest and upload a video and try it out, because it's the thing you didn't know you needed until you discover and realize that what we do is actually possible. And so for us, it's all about like seeing is believing. And once you get video that you care about and that you need to actually ingest or consume, then you actually can realize the power of it. And we'd love to hear your feedback, and so that we can make the product even better.
Absolutely. Well, Humphrey, thanks so much for being on today.
Thank you.
And just, hey, let us know how we can help. And we hope we're back up in Bentonville soon. Actually, we're going to be up there tomorrow. At any rate, we will see you soon. And hey, and to the audience, hey, if you can't find any of this information that Humphrey talked about today, please message me, and I'll get you in direct contact with Humphrey and CLIPr. So again, Humphrey, thanks so much.
Thanks,
Humphrey.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck.
Guys.
All right, take care. Happy clippering.